Mm, mm. Oh, nice. Hello, friends. Hello. Hello, friends. Uh, Comma, enemies, strangers, strangers, kind, mothers, comma, and those in the bardo. Mm. Oh, what a long greeting. Isn't that Why don't I just make everyone my friend and say, hello, friends? Okay, that's better. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see. Wait a minute. Where am I? Oh, man. Is this it? Is this it? Let's see if I can go like, oh, shit. Done? Hmm. Redirecting to YouTube? No. See, where am I? Hey, okay, there I am. Okay. Okay, so this morning's topic. Well, I was thinking about I'm walking the dog, and I was reading my emails, and there's a particular email that comes from a teacher, a, a teacher who has me and several others as students, and we respond to her through email only. Maybe someday we'll get together for a Zoom meeting or something. Hmm. Okay. Okay, so okay, so the teacher is Nancy Yelding. I don't know too much about her. She might be in her 70s or 80s. uh, she's she's been involved in a, I don't want to call it an organization. Uh, I'd like to call it uh, a lineage, maybe, or a tradition, fairly new tradition. Is a branch, you could say, of Advaita Vedanta. So Advaita Vedanta is comes from Hinduism. Hmm. So uh, the in Advaita means non, and Dvaita, Dvaita, dual. So it's non-dual, and Vedanta is a part of the Hindu literature and teachings of the Vedas, but Vedanta, that ending of anta, suggests that it is the final word of the Vedas. Basically, it's contained in the Upanishads. And guess what? The Upanishads are summarized, you could say, or certain parts of the Upanishads are summarized in the Bhagavad Gita. And the Bhagavad Gita, in turn, is a moment in a long epic poem called the Mahabharata. I think it's bigger than Homer's Iliad and Odyssey combined, and more than that. Uh, Certainly several times bigger than the Bible. But within that story, well, it's a combination of stories, but there's a plot where you have the head of a group of peoples that find themselves having to go to war with their cousins. Because their cousins are pretty nasty, pretty bad. They kicked them out of the kingdom. Their right to the kingdom, at least to be fair to some portion of the kingdom. But I guess the rulers of the kingdom have to be one or the other, and maybe they're both greedy for having complete control. So the ones that have complete control are on the cousin side of the protagonist, uh, Arjuna. Arjuna. So he's a warrior, and he's you could think of him as a general and the captain and quarterback of a team. That's the good guys, or the our home team, right? They got kicked out, and they want they want to be part of the kingdom. It looks like they're gonna have to go to war to be part of it. Maybe even take over it. No, 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 no. Thank you. Okay, okay, okay. So, how could I summarize it? Well, basically, look up the Bhagavad Gita. That's spelled. See if I can spell it right. Bha. Bah. Ga. Ga. Ba. Ga. Ba. Ga. Vad. 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 V as in Victor. AD as in dummy. Bhagavad. And then Gita is spelled in Spanish, spelled Guita, like guitar without the R, but in English it's spelled Gita, Gita. So some people might mispronounce it as Gita or something else. Guitar has a GUI. You don't pronounce guitar. That's the same way in Spanish. Guitarra, guitarra, guitarra. Guitarra. You have two R's, I believe. Anyway, so let's see if I can focus and bring it down to a summary. Yeah, so look up the Bhagavad Gita. It's part of the Mahabharata, and it's where they're on the battlefield. And Arjuna tells his charioteer Krishna, could you put me in the middle and so I can scope out who we're fighting? And maybe he used binoculars to see who was on the other side, and he recognized the you could say the the top players on the other side, the quarterbacks of the other side, and pawns and the knights and the rooks. Maybe the pawns were too many, so he didn't recognize them. But yes, he recognized them as being basically those he grew up with, like cousins and teachers, playmates that that are on the cousin side. So they're like they have a long history, and they were like friends and playmates when he was very young. And maybe when they became adults, things got to where you have to learn those things to play it as a tribe. Tribalism. To make the others uh, be the enemy. So now they're enemies. But if you read the Mahabharata, which I haven't, it's supposedly it's a just war that they're going to carry out, and the good guys have been unjustly treated, so they're fighting. Because after trying to do some negotiation, it broke down and it was useless. So they have to fight to survive, pretty much. And it looks like they're gonna do well because Arjuna has a secret weapon. Krishna, that's his charioteer. Well, his charioteer obeys Arjuna when Arjuna tells him to go over here in the middle of the battlefield between the two lines, and they're about to hike the football and start the war. But for before it starts, I don't know who gets to move first. But anyway, maybe he calls a timeout, and he wants to take a look at the other side. Oh my goodness! There's my cousins. Oh my, they're like brothers to me. And look, there's my teachers that that were that that taught me and my cousins in the school to learn how to fight and do things. Now we're enemies. Oh man, can you imagine having to kill your cousins that you grew up with, that you shared fond memories, since you were 5 years old up to maybe 12 years old, and now you have to kill them? I mean, you have to go to war against them, so that means you cannot uh, you cannot have mercy on them. You have to literally you cannot take prisoners because they're headed by a king that's taken over the kingdom. That's on the it's I guess the father of those cousins or something like that. Well, it's complicated. Hmm. The actual king is blind, if I recall, and so he has one of his sons. He actually has 100 sons, but his first son is the most ambitious. Could say that he's the Donald Trump of the family. And he wants to take over and has been able to take over and kick out uh, the family that that represents Arjuna. the, Arjuna and his brothers, they got kicked out of the kingdom. They were going, they were living, I don't know, in the forest for, I don't know, a decade or so. And they're back strong and ready to go to war because they tried negotiating and that didn't work. They're the bad guys, the head of the bad guys is not going to give them an inch. You give them an inch and they'll take a mile. I guess he figures. Maybe they have no choice but to go to war. Anyway, so so now what happened? So Arjuna sees that those are his cousins and teachers and stuff, people he grew up with. So he cannot bear to have to kill them. I don't know where he got that idea. Maybe it's instinct. Maybe it's part of our compassionate nature that he does not want to kill those who he has a fond memory. So he's attached to them. hmm So but his secret weapon is Krishna, his charioteer, and who happens to be very wise and all that. And he's trying to tell Arjuna, no, you got to fight. Think of what others will think if you don't fight. Because Arjuna says, "No, I will not fight. Those are my cousins. I don't want to live my life, the rest of my life, thinking that had to kill them all, or if I'd rather have them kill me. So I will drop my weapons and surrender. I can't do this. It's not morally correct, is it, to kill anyway? But I don't know if he says that exactly. But anyway, Krishna is trying to convince them that no, you gotta fight. Anyway, mm, what was I trying to get at? Well, that's the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. But it gets interesting because they have a long discourse, 18 chapters. It's like 18 lessons, or they call them yogas. So it has 18 yogas, and the yoga of this, the yoga of that. I think I'm on the fourth yoga, the yoga of knowledge. No, maybe call it wisdom knowledge. Jnana. Jnana. Hmm. Something like that. But it's also considered the yoga of action, the yoga of wise action, maybe. Yeah, the second chapter was pretty important because it's pretty long and it covers a lot of what the book is going to be about. The rest of the Gita is going to be about. So it includes the different yogas, mostly the yoga of action or karma yoga, you could say, and the yoga of devotion maybe is in there. Hmm. That's bhakti yoga, and maybe the yoga of wisdom. But there's a Samkhya. Yes, Samkhya. Maybe I should think of Samkhya as theoretical knowledge, and how to apply it is the yoga. Okay, so there's different prescriptions for one's level of understanding, maybe. Hmm. Anyway, what's capacities? Sort of like a lamb rim, but it's not organized in that way. Maybe it is. I have to think about that. Anyway, so we're not getting very far. So yeah, I have another teacher that sort of like Nancy from the same tradition, from the same lineage. That so Nancy is teaching us on the Atmopadesha Shatakam. It's 100 verses of self instruction, and I believe we're in the 14th verse, and so the 14th verse is due Sunday, right? Tomorrow's Saturday, so in 2 days, right? Today's Friday, okay. And then I have the other teacher is Scott Tate, Tatesworth, Tatesworth, and he's the one that's an expert on the Bhagavad Gita. Same lineage. I mean, they both had the same gurus, you could say, same instructions, same uh, books they had to carefully study. Their gurus wrote or gave speeches and gave talks, gave teachings, and they were transcribed and put together in a book called That Alone. And I believe Scott Tightsworth and maybe some others were involved in making that book. And it's 700 pages, and it's dense and difficult at times, but you can tell that this guy knows his stuff and has a way of uh, of presenting the Gita in a way that is compatible with our Western minds. With our Western philosophies, with Carl Jung and yeah, our psychology and Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud and who are some great Western minds. Well, all of them, like from Socrates all the way to maybe David Hume, Spinoza. Who else? Even Einstein. Yeah. And yes, he mentions them here and there, and not to brag and say, "Look at me, I know this stuff." No, but he's trying to trying to get us to remind us about our Western philosophy and see how it meshes with the Eastern Advaita Vedanta philosophy. Hmm, maybe it helps to bridge the great gap between the two. Okay, so where was I? So yeah, I was walking the dog. I guess I'll still walk. Oh my goodness, my feet are hurting. Because the back of the heels are getting scraped against the shoe. Oh, you know what I could do? I could sit on the back of the shoe. That way it won't scrape so much. Hmm. That's not probably not good for the shoe, but it's good for my skin. There. What's that? Yeah, cause one day I was wearing these shoes and I had put Dr. Knowles uh, padding that claimed that, oh, this is as comfortable as going without socks because it has a sock like covering to it. So, okay, I'll not wear socks. But the problem is that the back of the heels are getting friction and they're getting all, hmm, hmm, the skin is getting scraped until there's blisters, maybe, and in some pain. I mean, not no bleeding yet, but redness maybe. But I'm starting to feel it, so I'm sitting on the back of the shoe now. So that's a relief. Second, it was bothering me. Now it's okay. I don't know. It wasn't bothering me earlier in the walk, but it started bothering me maybe uh, 30 minutes ago. I mean, 30 seconds ago. Okay. So I introduced Nancy Yelding. She's teaching the Mopadesha Shatakam, and the lesson is due. You have to write something up for Sunday and send it in. And then tomorrow, Scott Tatesworth's uh, mm, lesson is due tomorrow. That's on the Bhagavad Gita. I got to figure out a way to synchronize them so that I could practically submit the same content to both of them. That would be marvelous. And also integrate it with what I'm learning in Buddhism. I try to do that. So my responses to the lessons, to the study guide, are a little longer than usual. So I end up turning mine in a day late or so. See if I can turn him in on time this time and continue working on it, and then immediately go on to the next lesson as soon as I get it. I think I already got the next lesson already, so I gotta immediately start working on it. You know, bad habits, procrastination. I did it all through college, and I don't know why deadlines get me going. If I could somehow push myself to believe that the deadline is earlier than it's supposed to be, then maybe I would get more done earlier, and maybe I'd be late for my hmm, artificial deadline. But they'll be okay, okay. I'm okay. It's not today, dude. It's due. It's it's tomorrow or in 2 days. But I'm doing fine. I got something, so I can relax a little bit. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe I should do that in life, like the deadline for my life. Who knows when that's going to be? It could be tomorrow. So maybe I should hurry and do stuff, even more important stuff. Yeah, it's kind of wild that the deadline for our life is not known. Wow, that's pretty scary, isn't it? So what do we do? Why are we denying death? Hmm. Why are we believing that we're going to live a few more years? Why don't I start taking out my Social Security? I'm already 65. I've been 65 since September. That was the October, November, December. Yeah. So it's been 8 months since I've been 65. So I haven't done anything. I could be receiving Social Security. I don't know. It might be very small. Maybe it'll be $500 a month, but it helps. Wow, that would help a lot. I should go to the Social Security office, figure out how much I could be awarded. Or maybe all I have to do is log in and it'll show you. I don't know. And I also have to pay for Medicaid, Part A and B, and Humana. It's just like I gotta pay like 160 or 40, 140 every quarter, but I haven't paid that, so overdue. Oh man. But I'm trying to hold on to receive my retirement bonus a year or two more to see if I get more, but that's kind of ridiculous because I could die any moment now. So they want me to do that, so that then they won't have to pay me so much. I'm believing that I'm going to live to 120 or so. I'm acting like well, maybe I should act like that, but oh, but I don't know. Hmm. Anyway, where was I? So yeah, I introduced Nancy Gelding, who's teaching the Atmopadesha Shatakam. That's the 100 verses for self-instruction. Atmopadesha means self-instruction, and Shatakam is 100 verses. So we're on verse 14. We looked over verse 13 and the verse 13 responses, and I looked it over on my email. Looked at what the other students had turned in, and I said, wow, this is an interesting thing. I'm going to copy and paste it and put it in my yes, for in my WhatsApp, so maybe I could comment on them. And as for tomorrow's homework, yeah, for Scott Catesworth's homework is due tomorrow, Saturday. It's on the Bhagavad Gita. I know that it's chapter 4, but I'm not sure what verses because the last one or the last two, I think, have been on chapter 4. I think the first one was verses 1 through 11, and then the second one is verses 12 through something. And the third one is something else. So, oh, man, I gotta look at my emails and figure out what I'm supposed to be doing. Because sometimes the lesson is not simply reading the book that comes with the course, which is written by their guru, Guru Nitya Chaitanya Yati. I think he died in the 1990s. Anyway, and his guru was Nataraja Guru. He was I don't know too much about him, but it sounds like he studied in the West also. And Narayana Guru is the teacher of both of them. He's the one that composed the Atmopadesha Shatakam, the 100 verses for self-instruction. So I'm thinking that's the lineage, kind of. It starts with Narayana Guru, but Narayana Guru doesn't have any one teacher before him. Maybe he had several teachers, but he came up with his own thinking and his own writings and his own activism. He kind of fought against the stagnant society and the way they treat those of the lower castes and tried to help improve his society in India to make it more inclusive, you could say. And so that sort of helped that area. Maybe It brought a little more prosperity to that region of India. It's in the southwestern coast of India. They speak the language Malayalam. Maybe they also speak Tamil. I think it's mostly Malayalam because that's what he spoke, and he wrote that book, Atmo Padesha Shatakam, in the language Malayalam. Got translated, has been translated into English. I think that book was written in the 1880s. So then his students, Nataraja Guru, went on to do commentary on what he wrote. And then more recently, Guru Nitya Chaitanya Yati. Mhm. Look him up. Chaitanya. Chaitanya. Guru Nitya. And that's spelled Nitya. Chaitanya Yati. Guess how that's spelled? Yati. Those three words. Nitya Chaitanya Yati. But we can just call him Guru Nitya. Or maybe just Nitya. Okay, so I'm studying his books. I got a bunch of his books. One of them is a huge autobiography of his. It's like that thick. I haven't started reading it, but supposedly it's not simply an autobiography. It's actually him teaching something to the reader. Also some wisdom is there. What other books has he? Yeah, he's written that alone. That's the one I'm focusing on now, mostly. I was focusing on neither. No, neither this nor that, but something like that. That title. It's a slimmer book. Instead of 700 some pages, it's more like 200 pages. And it covers the same items, the 100 verses of self instruction of Narayana Guru, but it's the commentary for each verse. It's only one or two, rarely 3 pages long. So it's a little brisker to go through. That's the one I started working on when I started looking over the 100 verses. I started with that one. I did that not this year, but last year. Maybe started around February and got to around this time. It gets hot in the summer, so after a while, I kind of threw in the towel and gave up around verse 40 something. Maybe I got to the 50s. Maybe because I was demanding too much of myself to go through it. But maybe if I demand too much of myself, then I get frustrated and quit. So maybe I should try to avoid that this time. I might be doing too much right now, but I'm recording this so that I can maybe go back and get the transcript on YouTube of what I'm saying, because this is going to maybe I could get it through Zoom too. Oh no, it won't be on Zoom because I'm not recording this to Zoom. I'm recording this to YouTube. Stan. Yeah, I gotta delete what's on Zoom so that I can do record to Zoom. That's what I should do. Yeah, I should do that. Okay, so anyway, where was I? Yeah. Okay, so now maybe I should. So this morning at the beginning of the walk, I I went through the email of Nancy Yelding students that are studying the Atmopadesha Shatakam, the 100 verses of self-instruction, 100 verses of self 100 verses of self-instruction with me. These students, maybe there used to be 30 at the beginning. Now maybe there's only 10 left. I don't know. and maybe five responded, including me. And so I looked at the responses of the ones that responded and copied and pasted something that maybe I could comment on in my response that's due Sunday. Yeah. Due Sunday. Yeah. That represents verse 13. I think that's where I'm at. No, maybe I'm on verse 14. I'm not sure. Oh, okay. I think what I'm looking at is what we did for verse 13, but verse 14 is due. So I'm really way behind because I'm going to try to respond to verse verse 13 and 14. So I'm doing more than I'm supposed to, and in that sense, I'm not even paying attention to what the teacher wanted us to do. So I could get an F if I was being graded. You'd get an F. Actually, I tried last time to attempt to do what was requested, and I'm still working on it. One of the exercises to do was to, what should I call it? Kind of a mantra that you do, but not in a ancient language, not in Sanskrit, not in Malayalam, but in English. Maybe it's a mantra thought. And what's it called? And mhm. Mm. Anyway, I was looking for the word, but it's not coming out. Mhm. You know when you look at yourself in the mirror and recite ooh, recite things to yourself like I am beautiful, I'm strong, I am perfect, things like that. So you recite these phrases to yourself to kind of make you feel good and make you feel confident. What's that called? Like Saturday Night Live. What's this comedian that he made fun of doing that? But what are those things called? Those phrases? Aspirations? No. I think it starts with an A. Admonitions? No. Hmm. I'm thinking of the movie The Secret. Mhm. New Age. Mm. What the bleep do we know? Mm. Uh, uh, maybe it's not. Maybe it doesn't start with an H. You know what I'm thinking of. Anyway, but you do these phrases. There's three of them. You do them uh, while you're breathing. So while you exhale, you do one phrase. While you inhale, you do the other phrase. While you hold the breath for as long as you want, not too long, just comfortably long, you do another one. So here's how it goes. As I'm exhaling, I think to myself, I am not just this perishing body. I am not just this perishing body. I'm not just this perishing. And then as you inhale, I think to myself. As I inhale, I think to myself, who am I? 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 And then as you hold the breath, as I hold the breath, I think to myself, I am the cherishing self with a capital S. Think of that self with a capital S as God or the absolute if you want. But it's something inside me, each one of us. They're sort of interconnected so that it's actually one self. Advaita Vedantically. Okay, anyway, now what I'm trying to say. So yeah, that's one of the exercises I'm supposed to do every morning. It's kind of an adaptation of what of the key teachings of Ramana Maharshi, who basically wanted his students to simply question themselves with who am I? Maybe what am I? Or where am I? Questions like that. And the answer is uh, is could be stated as I am the shining self, the shining luminous self. Maybe I like the word luminous self. Maybe I could say I am the luminous Buddha nature. Maybe I could say I am the light body. I am the light body, like clear light body. I am the clear light body. No, I don't know. It's just words. I don't even know what they mean exactly. But it's something that's in esoteric Buddhism mostly. Clear light body and illusory body. Okay. Whew. Anyway, there's some things that the students in Nancy Yelding's class wrote in the last responses to. Good. Thank you. Oh. Hmm. Hmm. Uh, uh, so I think one of the students asked a question about the gunas, Rajas, Sattva, and Tamas. I was thinking maybe Sattva is as it is, as we feel it, is not pure. And we're supposed to try to transcend all these gunas. There's three of them: Sattva, Sattvic, Tamasic, and Rajasic. So Tamasic, Tamas is the quality of inertia, maybe darkness, maybe laziness. And Rajas is the quality of maybe movement, maybe activity. And Sattva is the quality of light, of, yes, opposite of Tamas is heavy, uh, light, light, and maybe a spiritual kind of light and goodness. Hmm. And so there's a question that she had that I'd like to consider. And Nancy Yelding maybe gave us clues. Let me see if I can look it up and read it to you. So one of the students, Shelley said, "My mind is like a beautiful garden." I like to put the word like. She didn't use the word like. She just said, "My mind is a beautiful garden that occasionally grows weeds. However, because I actively strive to be a better version of myself every day, the weeds no longer flourish and my happiness is profound." I like that. And then Deep Panjali, he wrote, or this is not all he wrote, but this is something that caught my attention. Maybe he wrote 3 or 4 times as long. He said, of the three, he's referring to the gunas, the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Of the three, the sattvic guna and show existence as it is, but it's hardly found in its pure form. In other words, this sattvic guna is hardly found in its pure form, so you're not able to see existence as it is. And he asks, please correct me if I am wrong. However, Guru is asking us to rise above all three gunas and become cool in its real sense. And Jyoti, that was Deepanjali, and then another student by the name of Jyoti. That means light. Jyoti. The mind, she says, I think it's a she. The mind is not an entire entity, but a steady stream of changing interests that we can gather together in one pointed devotion. Hmm. Well, I like that one. Maybe I'll think about it. And then she also wrote the single pointed devotion of time and again. Changing worlds of mind needs to be anchored. The whole curation of. I think she wrote this. Or maybe that was. I'll have to go look it over again. If it was her or if it was Nancy. The whole curation of sattva, rajas, and tamas is simplified to the mind's creation, preservation, and dissolution. In it catching oneself in observation of all the worlds, one understand we are simultaneously creating, living, and destroying. Okay. Sattvas, rajas, and tamas are modes or qualities that pervade nature. Maybe this is what Nancy wrote. Sattvas, rajas, and tamas are modes or qualities that pervade nature, which includes human nature. So they cannot be avoided. In fact, they can be helpfully used to more deeply understand the functional dynamics of any aspect of nature, from our varying psychological dispositions to the weather, from actions to elaborations. The 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita offers detailed exploration that is worth becoming familiar with. But I must add the caution that some commentaries and translations miss the point, which is well understood and explained in Nataraja Guru's and Guru Nitya's commentaries. The wisdom key. This verse and commentary make clear is to complete the the circle. When we are touched, mm, when we feel deeply, when we doubt, when we struggle, when we are inspired, when we plod along, we remind ourselves again and again to look more closely, to see that Karu, see that the Karu is permeating. Karu, that means it's spelled Karu. Karu is permeating the changing modulations of our consciousness. And remember to tune ourselves to that. Mhm. Let's see. Mm, 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 mhm, mhm, mm, 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 mm. Okay. Oh, well, let's go back. Where was I? Mhm. The wisdom key, which this verse and commentary make clear, is to complete the circle. When we are touched, when we feel deeply, when we doubt, when we struggle, when we are inspired, when we plod along, we remind ourselves again and again to look more closely, to see that the God is permeating the changing modulations of our consciousness. Remember to tune ourselves to that. Mm, mm, mm. Permeating. Permeating. So that, yeah, that's definitely what the teacher wrote. The starting with the wisdom keys. Oh, and before that, starting with is Sattvas, Rajas, and Tamas. Hmm. But there's more, where it says, so we got to remind ourselves, or I should try to remind myself again and again to look closely, to look at my Karu. My maybe I should think of Karu as my Bodhi nature, Buddha nature, in my very subtle mind. Or maybe they're not equivalent, but they're very closely linked. So I should maybe maybe I don't know if I should identify with them or it, or maybe I should feel it. I don't know, or be it. Or imagine that I am it, that I am that level of consciousness. So see that Karu is permeating the changing modulations of our consciousness and remain remember to tune ourselves to that. Maybe the Karu is the carrier wave. Hmm. Hmm. Permeating the knowledge which brilliantly shines at once within and without the knower is the Karu. To that, with the five senses withheld, prostrating again and again with devotion and chant. So that is the first verse of the Alopadesha Shatakam. So it's saying to, okay, for starters, what we're going to do is recognize the Karu in us. And to do that, we have to kind of withhold the five senses, maybe the six senses. How? By prostrating again and again. Maybe that means reminding ourselves again and again to look more closely is a way of prostrating. And that is a form of devotion. And the chant might be that exercise that I'm supposedly trying to do, where I inhale and ask myself, who am I as I inhale? And then hold, and think to myself, I am the Karu. No, actually, it says, I am the shining self with a capital S. But maybe I could equate that to the Karu. And I could equate Karu to the Buddha nature. And I equate the Buddha nature to my very subtle mind. Mhm. And then when I exhale, I think to myself, "Hmm, I am not merely, no, I am not just this perishing body. I am not just this perishing body." So there I go. I think I covered it all. So I'm, I'm proud, or at least this is as good as it's gonna get, even though I I couldn't focus, but I did what I did. So if it doesn't match the title that I gave it, oh well. The title was supposed to kind of guide me and maybe help me have a purpose in this mm, rant. No, this discussion with myself. I don't know. Maybe somebody will enjoy it. I don't know. I'm gonna use this. Maybe pull out the transcripts to maybe write something up hmm, for Sunday and maybe tomorrow for tomorrow both lessons. I'm gonna try to combine them two so that I can submit them into one. Thank you. I hope this helps. Well, it certainly I hope it will help me. That's more important. And maybe someday I will